Okay, so I'm just gonna go through the houses real quick, a basic rundown of Libra in your chart. So if you have Libra in the first house, you're a Libra rising. This is big for you. This is big for you. This is a whole new identity, right? You have a lot of you're gonna have a lot of clues about your appearance, how you want to change your appearance, the direction you want to go in life. Um, your identity has a lot to do with your body as well. So your health, you might start a new health routine. You might get a new haircut. You might do cosmetic procedures, stuff like that. But Libra in the first house for this eclipse is a big one. And I encourage you, Libra risings, to really take the day to think about who you want to be in the next 6 months, right? Because you are going to see that very clearly on the Libra full moon next year. If you have Libra in the second house, you're a Virgo rising. So this has to do with self-esteem. This has to do with your money, your savings, how you make money, and the senses as well, the all your faculties, your actual senses, your physical senses, I should say. Self-esteem and issues of worth. You know, you're gonna be planting new seeds about boundaries. I know it sounds weird, but it's coming to me. And self-worth is a big thing, and self-esteem is a big thing in the second house. And this is why the moon does really well in the second house, is because these people are usually, if you have your moon in the second house, you're really in tune with what makes you feel good and what makes you feel uncomfortable. And in this case, you know, planting new seeds and ending. And remember, we're talking about ending, so something will end. Something will end. It could be a thought process. It could be an ending of an ongoing self-sabotaging feeling. It could be habits about money, because it all has to do with value, right? Second house is all about value. That's why self-esteem and money are all up in there. Is value, how much you value yourself. And when you put yourself on the market, is it market value, or are you lower? Are you discounting your value, or are you putting it at where it should be, right? And so this can be on the emotional realm. This could be on the physical realm. So some of you might see your get new ideas about how to approach your savings, how to make more money for yourself, which is tied into your self-esteem and how much you actually value yourself, right? So you might be ending self-sabotaging ideas and beginning, at least planting the seeds for you to actually value yourself more or make more money down the road. And you'll see that around Aries season next year. If you have Libra in the third house, you're a Leo rising. Third house is all about your siblings, your communication, your writing skills, and your familiar environment, like your neighborhood or like your childhood home, something like that. You might actually start to get more involved in your neighborhood. You're gonna start thinking about new modes of communication. There might be a way that you were communicating before that was detrimental, and now you're gonna learn how to do it a little bit better. With this eclipse, you might actually have to cut communication. You might find yourself actually cutting communication with someone. This might be a sibling, or learning how to stop communicating in a certain way and learning how to communicate in a better way, a more constructive way. Anytime I see third house, I always say, get out there, take a walk around your neighborhood, go to familiar places. Also, watch out for your car, okay? You might have to get a new car. The old car, the car that you have right now might be needing some repair, stuff like that. But third house is also short trips, errands, quick communication. So check out all your technology, because your phone might be effed up, your car might be effed up, you might have to get a new one. Or the way that you use these technologies, the way that you use your car, the way that you use your phone, the way that you communicate is going to change, right? So just be open to that. Really examine the way that you're communicating. And third house is also your writing style, right? And so if you're a writer, you might be inclined to try a new style. And I would say pick a new place to actually write. Like if writing is what you do, and you have your routine where you sit in a specific place with a specific cup of coffee, and this is your ritual, you might have to change that. That might be up for change. You might, you know, in the next 6 months, you might see yourself actually be more comfortable being somewhere else. Right now, you might feel a little frustrated with the place that you're at to actually sit and write, and you might change your style up. So if you were writing thrillers, now you might be writing comedies. You might feel to write some comedies, right? So third house. Make sure also your siblings, your relationship with your siblings might go through a little bit of a change. So just be aware of that, right? Change up the way you talk to your siblings. It's going to help you out a lot. Fourth house, Libra in the fourth house, you're Cancer rising, you know. This is a square now we're talking about. This has to do with the home, the relationship with the mother, your roots, your early psychological upbringing. With the eclipse happening here, things that have to do with your culture, your roots, your home, your actual house. You might be moving, right? You might be changing locations. An issue with the mom might come up now for you to deal with, so just pay attention to that. And remember, all the stuff that I'm going to tell you, all of it has to do with balance. So you're negotiating now. You have to talk to somebody else. It's not about just you. It has to do with you and someone else, because we're talking about Libra, right? We're talking about a dual sign. So it's not about just you. It's the relationship with you and someone else. There might be, you know, issues in the household that come up now. Talk about how it is you see your home life. Talk about how you want to decorate your home. Talk about the past. The past might be coming up a lot, and you're gonna have to rectify that. You're gonna have to find balance with that, with the past. Issues with the mom might be coming up, so again, you have to negotiate that relationship. And renovations in the home, moving is a thing. Pay attention to those things. Remember, because we're talking about endings as well, right? So an ending of an old way of doing, saying, being, and we're planting seeds to be something new, to have something new. Moving on, if you have Libra in the fifth house, you're Gemini rising. You know, fifth house is, it's all about fun. Fifth house is the fun, you know, casual sex, partying, dating, speculative, money making, so gambling, taking a little bit of risk. Think summer vibes. Summer vibes is fifth house. And children, right? So the fun, the way kids get excited when they go outside, that's the energy of the fifth house, right? It's creative energy too, right? So an eclipse in the fifth house is a little tough because it means endings. So you might not see for example, you might not see your love life pick up for a little bit. You might cut off your old hoes, right? The hoes you had, you might cut them off, right? There's a lot of changes happening in the house here of fun. So the ways that you were having fun before, the things that you were kind of indulging in, it might not be as appealing anymore. 6 months from now, you'll find yourself doing something completely different, doing someone completely different. A certain part of your sex life is going to change, right? Like if you were seeing a pattern and it wasn't like making you feel good, you're going to get frustrated with it. And during this eclipse, it's going to be real evident, honey, that you're going to have to cut some motherfuckers out. So be okay with losing things, right? That's the theme of the whole fucking eclipses. You know, be okay with losing some shit. And in this case, if you had a roster of the man them, you have to cut some of them, you're gonna have to cut mans out. If you had a revolving door of people, you might, I'm not saying shut down the revolving door, but I'm saying the people that are coming in the door might be different. Now your type is different, right? The way you was running things, the way you're having fun, your creative energy, and your relationship with your kids too. If you have kids, it's gonna change, right? Like you're gonna see them in a new light. They're gonna see you in a new light. So be aware of that. During this eclipse, it'll become very evident how they've grown. And it can be a painful thing. But remember, when you let go, you now make space for something else to grow. And there's a good chance, if you plant the right seeds, something better. So be aware of the seeds that you're planting. Always, always, always. Especially around new moons and full moons. Get rid of them hoes. Get rid of them hoes. Moving on. If you have Aries ascendant, Libra in the 7th house, this is straight up relationships. Your business relationships, your romantic relationships, your one-on-one relationships. If you're Aries rising, the eclipse is going to be happening in your 7th house. So all contracts, all agreements that are being made, these are going to be renegotiated. I should say I should use negotiate throughout this entire rundown. They're going to be renegotiated. Remember, North Node is when we're Aries, and Aries rising, that's your 1st house. So it's about self, right? So with this eclipse, you're going to find that all your worries about the relationship are going to be, your own worries are overtaking you so much that you don't see where you're messing up in that, like where you're not actually giving where you're supposed to give, or you're not actually, it's not actually a balance there, because you're so worried that you're not doing X, Y, and Z that it actually makes there, like there's a break there now, right? Or there's like a problem, right? So for example, in business, if you're so worried, for example, like, you know, you have you and your business partner, and you know, you both agree on being able to do this thing that requires a certain certification, and you're so worried that you haven't gotten the certification that it's overtaking you now, and now you're fucking up the rest of your duties. It's actually you not having the certification is not the problem. It's actually you worrying so much about it that now the other person's saying, well, okay, it's, you don't have the certification, but not only that's not the only problem. Problem is now you're not doing the other shit that you're supposed to be doing. So now we actually have a problem, right? So just be aware that with Aries risings, and I know it's tough to not focus on yourself. That's what we're here to do as Aries risings. We're here to, and to show other people too, like, you gotta put yourself first. We're here to show people how to do that. But this season, there's a time and place for everything. Time and place. And this ain't the time, nor the goddamn place. So during this eclipse season in Libra, as Aries risings, pay attention to your relationships. Pay attention to how you've been showing up. Actually, when I say introspection means objective observation also, and non-judgmental observation, right? Like don't judge yourself. Like you have to really, really observe, like from outside perspective, what's going on. Because the moment you start judging yourself, then you start to do one bag of fuckery that has nothing to do with actually fixing the problem. So make sure when you're being introspective, you're being introspective about having taken on that lens of objective observation, and see the things that you're lacking, see the things that you haven't been doing, and start to like actually if you don't raise the conversation, a Libra will raise it, or whoever falls in your 7th house, right? It doesn't have to be that. It could be, again, any relationship, any contract that you're in. Those people will raise the issue, right? And again, this is why I say compromise isn't the thing here because of where the nodes are. It is negotiation, right? So keep that word in mind, my Aries risings. Is it painful? Yes, it is. Can you do it? Yes, you can. That's why the time is coming up now, right? And sometimes, you know, shit happens where we don't want to deal with it, but you have to. Like, again, there's a time and place, and if you don't learn the lesson, it will, don't worry, you'll see it again. I'll come back around. Moving on. Libra in the 8th house, your Pisces rising. 8th house, an eclipse in the 8th house. I wish that on no one, but we must at some point. I've had this happen, eclipses in the 8th house. It's not easy, and I told Libra risings to be introspective and be by themselves a little bit. I'm gonna tell you, Pisces risings, to be introspective and be by yourself, because this shit right here is not easy. If you have this eclipse happening in your 8th house, this has everything to do with power, right? And where you give your power away, and who has power over you. And you know, 8th house also is money that you get from other people. So if you were getting money from an institution, or from a relationship, or Those things are gonna come up now. Now they might be, hey, yo, I can't be giving you all this money, or something happens where that resource is cut. So now what are you gonna do? Eclipse in the eighth house in Libra really has to do with the negotiation of power. You don't want somebody else to have that kind of power over you. So it's gonna require an internal transformation, and it's not pretty. Okay. So it's gonna mean a lot of purging. It's gonna mean a lot of crying. I don't mean to scare anybody, but we are all gonna have to go through it at some point. We all will. Pisces risings are really gonna have to look at where they have been manipulating relationships, or where they have been giving too much in relationships. So it could be either be that you've been manipulating the fuck out of some shit, and you're getting all this money, and you're getting all the attention, and and now the other person is realizing like, yo, something's not right. Or it could be that you weren't setting your value correct, and somebody's taking advantage of you, right? So they're here with the eclipse here. It's more of a letting go of those power struggles. Sometimes it just means stepping out of that relationship. Sometimes it just means that, with the eighth house, you become a completely different individual on the inside. Be in meditation, but also cry it out. I see a lot of tears. Like, cry it out. Try to really get a hold on where your true power is. Not to rely so much on income from someone else somewhere else. That's good. That's great. Investments are good. Investments are great. But you're going to be kind of planting new seeds having to do with where you're putting your power in, where you're putting your investment in, right? And what you're giving your power to, who you're giving your power to. It can be a real tough one, unless you have 8th house placements. If you're Pisces rising with a whole bunch of Libra shit in your chart, then this is like a cakewalk, right? An annoying cakewalk where all the cakes pile and it's nasty, but you used to it, right? But it's kind of sad. Like, when I see 8th house stelliums, I always do this. But just know that this eclipse is definitely a call for a purge. It's a kind of a nasty purge, but we need it, right? You need it, and it's gonna happen, whether you like it or not. So make sure you allow yourself to purge, right? And transform yourself into someone who really knows their power, and you don't sabotage your power. Moving on, we got, if you have Libra in the 9th house, you're in Aquarius rising. And the 9th house has to do with higher education, travel, philosophy, teachers, right? So if you are a teacher, and you're in Aquarius rising, you might all of a sudden think, oh shit, maybe I wanted to do something else, teach something else. Your education might take a turn. You might want to actually learn something else, right? And if you're in higher education, so university, college, whatever, you might want to actually change and do something else. If you're an Aquarius rising, you might want to change religions. You might want to change a church. Your philosophical thinking about life and other cultures and foreign cultures outside of yourself are going to change. So now you might realize, hey, I actually do want to do backpacking around Asia, or I want to learn about, Buddhism, or these things are going to come up, right? 9th house is also long distance travel, so going overseas, again, foreign, right? Going far. You might want to actually travel. You might feel like if you had a trip planned, you might want to change that to somewhere else. Or you might now start to think, oh shit, I actually do want to travel more. I actually do want to go further distances and travel to a different continent. But the biggest thing is mentors, right? And this is the time where if you had a mentor, you might want to get a new one. You might feel sad, all right, I've done my time with this mentor. Time for me to move on and find another one that can teach me something else. If you didn't have a mentor, now you really want one. But, be careful of the mentors that you get, because, you have to make sure that they're good with you, right? That you're good with them too, and you guys have a connection. But yeah, an eclipse in the 9th house is your views on the world, your views on life philosophically are all about to go through a change, and you're just going to start to negotiate now with your mentors. You're going to start to negotiate now with your education and start to think, have a double mind. Libra, any air sign, they're dual signs, so you're gonna have a double mind about certain things, right? And this is what's coming up. Moving on, we have if you have Libra in the 10th house, you got a Cap rising. This is your career. Okay, your career is gonna go through some changes. The eclipse happening in the 10th house. Be careful at work if you're working that day. I would say this week leading up to the eclipse. Don't let your emotions get the better of you. People are gonna start to see you in a whole new light, You might want to change your career. You might start your career with a partner, a business partner, something like that. Or you might be the face of a company, right? You might be depending on where Venus is in your chart. If you have a Libra Venus, yes, and a Cap rising. But an eclipse in the 10th house, you're letting go of an old career. You're letting go of, 10th house is not just your career, it's your life's work, your legacy. And that doesn't always mean your job. It's the mark you want to leave on the world. And you're going to start thinking about that mark that you want to leave on the world. And how people actually know you as. Like, I always use this example, the 10th house, you could be a lawyer, right? But then next thing you know, you always hear people on America's Got Talent, oh yeah, I quit my job, I'm actually a scientist, I'm actually a lawyer, but I just really want to sing. More people know you as, if you do that, more people will know you as a singer rather than a lawyer or a scientist, you understand? And that's your 10th house, right? How people know you, truly how they see you, apart from your everyday job. And 10th house is public life too. So again, people are going to start to see you in your professional life, in the general public. You're gonna have a different people gonna have a different perception of you. Don't let your emotions get out of hand, and again, observe. Take your time to observe and really think about what the legacy is that you want to leave behind, and how do you want people to know you. What do you want people to know actually about you, who you were, right? Who you are, I should say. Curate your social media, honey. Okay, social media is 3rd house, yes. The use of social media is the 3rd house, but social media is also 10th house. How people see you, people that you don't know, how they know you. Curate your social media. Watch what you post. Sagittarius rising, you have Libra in the 11th house. This is your associations, your friends, your gains, and your dreams for the future. There's an eclipse happening here. You might get a new friend group. You might want to move away from the friend group that you're part of. You might just have outgrown them. You might have issues in the friend group. You might no longer want to associate with specific groups of people, right? So for example, if, the things that the extracurricular activities that you do. So if I do karate, I have an association now with karate. I have an association now with that dojo. That's 11th house. Those are people, right? You might not want to associate yourself with certain groups, and it could be, again, extracurricular groups. Usually that's what it is. A reading group, whatever group it is that contains people, you might want to not be associated with that anymore. You're negotiating now your association with that. If you're in a spiritual group, right, that's also 9th house shit. You might see some stagnancy with your gains coming up. Your dreams of the future are going to change. There's an old idea that's going to die off, and now you're going to have a new one, right? So be aware of your friend group. Be aware that there might be some issues there, but it's all for the best, depending on how you deal with it. Last but not least, if you have a Scorpio rising, then this eclipse is happening in your 12th house. Eclipses in the 12th house pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to your intuitions. This is the last person I would say, if you're a Scorpio rising, to I don't want to say isolate, but you're gonna have to isolate a little bit. You're gonna have to be in isolation a little bit, introspection, because 12th house is everything beyond the veil. 12th house is your unconscious. You're not really privy to the information in 12th house. It comes through altered states of consciousness. So either that's meditation, that's using substances, whatever it is, 12th house is isolation. So when you have an eclipse there, it can be a change in the way that you isolate. Your intuition is going to be on point for this one. It's going to be riling up. For my Scorpio risings, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to the things beneath the surface, the signs, right? If you're into numerology, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see numbers, right? Pay attention to those things. There's going to be a change in, again, your creativity, your spirituality. You might try something new. You might try, again, a new spiritual system. But this is an eclipse in which to really, really just be quiet. Be quiet. And get into yourself, and not to be afraid of what you see. Because sometimes it is scary. So all my Scorpio risings, don't do too much on Saturday. You're actually gonna feel at this point in time, this Libra season for Scorpio risings, Libra season is a tiring time. You just want to sleep, bruh. You just want to just be by yourself. You don't have so much sort of energy to do things, but that is because this season is all about being in those altered states of consciousness, seeing the things behind the veil, seeing the things beyond the surface, piercing through Maya, piercing through illusion. And piercing through illusion usually just means going within yourself. Not going out, going in. And take notes and be okay with, don't be afraid, just do the meditation, sit with yourself, and see what comes up. Because an eclipse is a really tough time. It's a little it's a little tough. But yeah, that's what I got for the eclipse and the signs. I hope that this gives you guys some assurance, some direction. The key things to take away from this particular Libra new moon solar eclipse is negotiation in relationships and not compromise, negotiation, balance in relationships, and to be introspective. And when I say introspective, I mean practicing non-judgmental, objective observation on yourself. This is also not a time for you to just focus on yourself. This is a time to focus on the things that, how you have been showing up, and the detriment that it's caused, or the good things too, could be good things. The effects that how you have been showing up, the effects of that it has had on the themes wherever Libra is in your chart. Wherever Libra is in your chart, look to see how you have been showing up in that area of life. So I went through all the signs. I hope that you guys take something from it. For people like myself, this is going to be a tough one. All you can do though is learn, try your best to learn and incorporate those lessons into your psyche, into your everyday life, into practice. So yeah, thank you for watching, and take care, and good luck.